This is awesome. Chorus is awesome.
Now I could just sit here for 10 minutes and watch this, and it would prove my point. Cars is freaking beautiful. Unfortunately for me, I don't get paid to sit on my ass and just watch the pretty pictures, so... Cars.
The story of Chorus is located in an AU version of Shinjuku, Tokyo, complete with its own, I guess you would call it a supernatural world, complete with demons, ghosts, and other supernatural baddies that like jumping over the gap to the human side every once in a while. To balance all this out, there exists a group of shape-shifting warriors known as Cars who fight against the bad guys, and to make a long and very complicated storyline short, one of these Carses decides to rebel because he wants to rule over everything. And because of this, he ends up fighting and killing another nameless Cars, and this happens to happen when we, the viewers, come in. It makes a very brilliant action-packed opening sequence that, well, yeah, it looks awesome. 3 years later! A mysterious being known as Yurine recruits a new Karis Otoha to fight the rising threat of demons known as Mikura, and eventually the traitor Karis Iko, or Echo, or however you want to pronounce that, and that's basically the spoiler-free plot there for you. Now, this particular storyline is more or less considered the main storyline, but it is only 1 out of 3. The second follows a rogue Mikura known as Nue, who has arrived at Shinjuku to defeat Iko himself after pulling a heel-face turn and renouncing his evil Mikura ways. He's basically the typical badass character that needs to find redemption. And he rides a bike. And dual-wields pistols. He is also awesome. The third plot follows 2 detectives from the Shinjuku Police Department's Supernatural Division. And I know that sounds big, the Supernatural Division. It sounds like an impressive sort of X-Files-like department, except that they are the only 2 members. One of them isn't there by choice, and everyone thinks they're crazy. With good reason.
It was those demons. I tell you, those demons did it! Demons, I tell you! Demons, you hear me? It's the demons!
Cars' major selling point should be obvious, especially since I haven't mentioned it yet at all, so I'll quickly rectify this by saying that Cars looks awesome. And when you look back on the guys who made this, being Tatsunoko Studios, there's something quite hilarious. These are the same guys that did Speed Racer. Yeah, you heard me. Speed Racer. You know that old, extremely corny racing show from the 60s? Yeah, that was them. Like, look how far they've come. Wow. Now, if I had to criticize it somewhere, and I kinda do, I'd have to say that the animation in the second half seems to lessen in quality in comparison to the first. The switches between what is CG and what is 2D become a lot more obvious, and it's easy to tell where their money for animation starts to go dry, although they do a very good job of covering it up, though. Now, its soundtrack is nothing short of epic, and I mean that literally. With epic visuals comes an equally epic musical score. Thankfully, it realizes when, oh look, there's not something epic appearing on screen. I should slow down now, and this is a trait that I wish some other epic soundtracks could learn a thing or two from.
If I had any problem with this series, and yes, it is a series, not a movie, I'll get to that, it's how it was handled stateside by Manga Entertainment.
What they did is they took this 6-episode OVA and turned it into 2 non-stop movies, The Prophecy and The Revelation, both about 80 minutes long each, with no distinction of where one of the episodes ends and then the next one begins. The second problem is that they never tell you about the second movie anywhere on the first, so someone who didn't know that they cut the series in half would buy the first part thinking that they're getting the whole thing, and then be completely shocked when the credits start rolling in the middle of the action. And I mean right in the middle of the action, like right after a big oh shit moment, and everything that could go wrong does, and then the credits appear. Like, isn't that a kick in the balls? Another problem I had with it was the voice acting. Not that the dub was bad, even though some of the characters might have been either too emotionless or had way too much emotion, that's just nitpicking though, but I found that the additions of J. Hernandez, Matthew Lillard, and Piper Perabo kinda hilarious, actually. Like, when you look on the front cover of the DVD case, their names are proudly displayed, giving the impression that they hold the title roles. Which is true, they do play main characters, but they never mention who plays the main character, being Karis or Otaha. He's played by voice actor Steve Staley. Now, why doesn't he get mentioned on the cover? He doesn't even get mentioned on the back. Like, I know Matthew Lillard is there, yeah sure, he plays Iko, the big bad, that makes sense, but at the same time, his voice lines sum up less than a minute of the actual movie, so, like, how is this fair? But I think the biggest screw-up that they made has to be this. My copy of The Prophecy came with this wonderful reflective slipcover that Manga's been putting on a bunch of their titles lately, and after reading the back I found something interesting. Have a look at this. Here in the middle, they mention that Karis was directed by Keiichi Sato of Wolf's Rain and City Hunter fame. Completely correct, and he is awesome. But now have a look a little further down. In the small text that is usually overlooked by the casual owner, they listed Mamoru Oshii as Karis's director. Well, that doesn't make sense. He's a director for Production IG. What the hell's he doing on the DVD case of a Tetsunoko animation? So I check a couple of the other names, and none of them have anything to do with Karis either. So it makes me wonder. And then I think of something. I've seen all these names before. So I hop on over to my DVD shelf, and the answer proudly displays itself in the form of Ghost in the Shell. Now look at this. Director, screenwriter, everything was directly copied from Ghost in the Shell's DVD cover to the back of Karis's DVD slipcover, with no change. Like, why would you do that? Seriously, Nintendo, why would you do that? To fill up space? Even that doesn't make sense. You could just put the real credits in there. Who was in charge of this? Like, you just can't put the credits of a completely different movie onto the cover of another movie. Like, what the hell, Manga?
And I still can't get over the fact how they don't mention a thing anywhere on these cases that it's only part 1. Like, even calling it Karis 1, the prophecy, would have been good enough, but, like, Bottom line is, if you plan on watching this, which I do recommend because behind Manga screw-ups, it's still a very enjoyable experience, but you need to buy both of them, or you need to buy none of them, because otherwise you're left hanging in the middle of the action without any idea what the hell's going on. Like, what if they did that for, like, every movie they released? Like, what if everything you watch just cut off right in the middle? Wouldn't that suck?